Thank you guys for being here with us today. From Penn, we've got head coach Steve Donahue, Max Rothschild, and AJ Broder. Same as the last press conference, we'll have a microphone with questions. Please state your name and media affiliation. Opening statement from coach, followed by questions for the student athletes, and finishing with questions for coach.
Thanks. I just thought it was an incredibly hard-fought game. It's what this league has been all year, and both teams really guarded each other for 40 minutes, and I thought a couple of loose ones went their way, and they capitalized on it.
Questions for student athletes.
Jonathan Pollock, Daily Pennsylvania. Max, you were playing for much of the second half with 4 fouls, and I know Dev was too. How do you think that affected how you guys played?
I've played with fouls before. I think nothing really changes on our end, just trying not to get those chippy ones, not getting your hands and battling with the guys in the post or whatnot, just not really reserved, staying true to our defensive principles and, just keep playing.
Jonathan Tannenwald from the Philadelphia Inquirer. AJ, I realize there are 2 big men on the stage, but when you guys are sort of directing traffic from inside and watching Bryce as he's moving around, what are you seeing from down there and trying to stop him from going off?
So we watched a lot of their offense, especially when he has the ball, because obviously that's one of their main sources of production. So what as the big men, our job is to be in the back and kind of direct traffic back there. We're always talking. We're trying to direct guys to shrink the floor, not give him any alleyways, trying to get the ball out of his hands, while at the same time respecting their shooters, because they have a lot of guys who can knock down shots. So we have to this thing where we say we have to do both, where we have to guard the ball and the shooters at the same time. It sounds like a kind of an oxymoron, but it can be done, just to disrupt the ball carrier, get in the passing lanes, and at the same time, trying to get him to pick up the ball, because he's the most dangerous when he's, doing his thing, working and trying to drive to the hoop.
Another one, I guess, again for AJ. Bryce was in here when he was in here a minute ago. He was talking about how last year still stung a little bit for their team, given the last 3 or 4 weeks or whatever it is for you guys. As you go into next year, do you throw all this out or let this linger and carry it with you?
I think we're just gonna, as soon as we get back, we're gonna start, regrouping, get back to, it's gonna be hard to replace these seniors, some of the best guys I played with, but we're gonna remember it. We're gonna keep it in the back of our mind. We're not gonna completely disregard, the back and forth that we've had over the past couple of years, but we're just gonna let that fuel the fire that makes us hungry for another Ivy League chip.
For either of you guys, in both halves, you guys came out pretty well, but sort of wilted a little bit at the end as Harvard sort of came back. What do you think caused that change in momentum in either half?
I think that was just the natural flow of the game. They had their chances, we had ours. They were able to capitalize a little bit more down the stretch. It's a game of runs. It always is, especially with teams with such with so much talent like they do. They're going to make their runs, we're going to make ours, and it really comes down to how you respond to those big runs. Are you going to sit back and take it and kind of wait it out, or are you going to do something to try to disrupt their flow, try to get into them, make them uncomfortable, all that to try to make the momentum sway in your favor.
Mike Jensen, Philadelphia Inquirer. AJ, just a big picture question. Can you talk just a little bit about the impact of the guy next to you has had on you?
Yeah, man. I bet if you had heard that, Coach Donahue's first freshman class coming in is going to be responsible for bringing Penn back to where it was, or to where it is now. Ivy League champions. Big Five champions, all that. You'd probably look at me like I had 3 heads. But then it comes to a day like today where you can really see what they have accomplished. It comes down to things that aren't recorded on the stat sheet. When they're being recruited, they might not have the top 100 ESPN ranking or whatever, but they have all this stuff that you can't measure. The guy, especially the guy sitting next to me, he has more heart, grit, perseverance, love for his brothers than anyone I've ever played with. And it's saying it's been a pleasure to play with him would be such an understatement. That's why a game like today, you know, having the ball not bounce your way a couple times and having to end this way, you know, it's tough on all of us. But man, I can't thank this guy enough for everything he's taught me about being a leader, a basketball player, just making me a better person. So I can't say enough about him.
Any final questions for the student athletes? Thank you guys for your time. They'll take you back to the locker room.
Job, fellas.
And now questions for Coach.
Steve, I'd ask you the same question that I asked AJ. Do you let this linger, or do you just put it behind you?
Say that again.
Do you let the memory of all of this linger, or do you just put it behind you?
No, you know, it's not as easy as that, putting it behind you. Good and bad. If you look at it, we shot a better percentage from the field, from three, had less turnovers. There was a couple bounces of the ball during that stretch in the second half, and they made them, and we led for most of it more than they did, and there's not much you can do about it. I think AJ touched on it, just that this class has been unbelievable, what they've accomplished, in particular this year. You know, if you told me in the spring we're going to lose Jelani Williams and Ryan Betley, and with the schedule I knew we had, to sweep the Big Five and battle like we did all year, and then our backs to the wall, and we figure out a way to get here. And I think we could have easily won today, but I give Harvard credit. They made a play here and there that they had to, and unfortunately we didn't.
Go on.
As coach for coaches, Glenn Papazian, PhillyCollegeSports.com. And Steve, at what point did you see the momentum begin to shift to Harvard's direction?
You know what? We ran a play that we haven't run all year, and Devin gets a fourth foul. I thought that was critical. He's such a big part of what we do defensively, and I thought Aiken hits his one easier shot than he had all day. And I sensed that was a tough stretch there because we don't have, and obviously we weren't very deep, but that play there was a kind of a backbreaker. I wish I didn't make the call now in retrospect. But I still thought, you know, it's a one-possession game, and just did not give Harvard credit. We didn't execute as well as we could down the half, and then the shots they missed when they needed to make them, they rebounded them. And I thought that was the deciding factor.
Julie?
Just because you mentioned it, like, when you look at something, like, this is kind of one of those, like, numbers anomalies. Like, if you looked at all the particular numbers, even, like, one of the things you like a lot is open, like, quality looks. Like, you got a lot of those, which, how do you explain it in your head where it's like, the numbers don't make sense except for, obviously, rebounding and free throw?
All right. That's why I love this group, though. We had, you know, guys who watched us this year, we play the right way. We move the ball. We get shots. And unfortunately, we missed a lot at the rim and standstill open shots that Harvard took their chances, in particular on AJ, and we didn't make them pay. I look at it that these kids are doing whatever they can. I go back and say, can I put them in a better position? Not so sure. I think that's who we are. If we're going to win, we're probably going to have to be a little grittier than the other team, and for the most part, that's what we did this year.
And there were a lot of those possessions where he did penetrate, but he kind of got hung in the air or had to, like, dish it late. Like, how do you make sure that, like, because sometimes they're going to sneak out. He's going to get passed through. He's going to get a crazy shot up. But how do you make sure that that's the life he gets as opposed to, like, being able to finish it?
There's a lot that goes into guarding a kid that dominates the ball as much as he does, but I thought we did a great job on him. I thought he took hard ones, shot under 50%, turned it over 5 times. Don't think we fouled him until the end when we had to foul him. Fouled him on one shot. I thought Tommy's utilizing his youth after the Brown game in particular, bringing Catchings and Forbes and, you know, not really playing a first-team all-leaguer much in Chris Lewis. I give Tommy credit. I think he saw the ship going one way, and I thought their defensive intensity was way better down the stretch in this league, including today, than it had been.
Two more. We got one there and one with Mike.
Hey, Coach. So a lot was made before this tournament about how it's moving away from the palestra. We know how the environment is there. How did you feel the environment for this game was today?
Yeah, I'm probably the worst guy to ask these questions because I'm lost in it. The place is loud. I thought our league showed well in terms of competition. I think they're two really good. These are in the net. We're a top 100 team. They're borderline top 100 team. The level is, to me, is great. I thought it was a great, and that was a neutral site, and it was loud and exciting, and and our league has done a great job putting us on, and I think our kids will remember this experience. It's more for you and fans and how to come across on TV, and they mean a lot to me. I'm just not sure how I can judge that right now.
Last question up here with Mike.
Steve, obviously we saw the job Deb was doing on Aiken, giving him trouble. But overall, looking forward, we can name the players coming back and see the talent you'll have going forward. But replacing kind of both the defense and then I'm asking about the locker room of the seniors. Can you get into that a little bit? How worried are you about that?
I'm extremely concerned because I've been through a lot in my career, and I know, and I shared this with the guys. When I came back into coaching after that year off, I wanted something special. I want purpose for what I do. And those kids bring it. Not just what you're seeing for 40 minutes, but in their life, everything we try. So to replace that, Max, Jackson, Jake, Antonio in particular, we're looking for it in recruiting. Because I don't think the younger kids understand, why we're winning games. So you just don't run into a kid like Max. Just don't. Think about each of their paths through the 4 years. Playing 0 time, playing starter minutes, getting yo-yoed back and forth. Never was there a waiver in their commitment to the team. It just doesn't happen now. Transfers and unhappy parents, and it just didn't exist with this group. And I'm concerned that because I think we're pretty talented going forward. I think we got a lot of players, but all the other things that go into building your team is going to be on the front of my mind going forward.
Thanks, Coach, for your time. We've got the locker room still open, or you can talk to Mike Mahoney in the back if you got any additional questions for Penn.